Good evening and welcome to Big Future Live. Tonight we're kicking off a special Big Future Live event. We're kicking off Gaming Week, a series of two events where you can get your questions answered, all about careers in the gaming industry. No coding skills required. So get those questions ready and welcome to Gaming Week.
Deciding on a career path when you're in high school can feel complicated. Where do you even start? Big Future helps you explore career paths that connect with your passions. Take a short quiz that matches your interests to potential careers. From a video game designer to a registered nurse and everything in between, there are so many careers to explore. You can even create a list of careers that excite you, or watch videos from professionals who work in fields you're interested in. And you'll discover what level of education is recommended, what kind of salary to expect, and what future demand looks like for careers in your field. There are so many options to choose from. So now is the perfect time to get started learning about what's out there. So let us help you explore what interests you, and you can start planning your future your way.
Hello, and welcome. Welcome. My name is Greg Rafal. I use he, him pronouns, and I work here on the Big Future team. I'll be your host for this evening, and I'm so excited to welcome you to a new and special event series, Gaming Week. I'm sure you're here because you probably love gaming, but did you ever think that maybe you could turn that passion into a career? Well, tonight and on Thursday night, you'll be able to ask questions from our panel of experts from companies like Blizzard Entertainment, Xbox, and more. First off, I want to thank all of you for joining us tonight. We know you have a lot going on. You're busy students or busy caring adults out there, but we're glad you decided to spend some time with us tonight to talk about careers in gaming. For those of you who don't know, Big Future Live is a series of virtual community events where we connect you with college reps, career experts, and your peers to help you plan for life after high school. Big Future Live was really created to get your questions answered so that you can plan your future your way. So tonight, you're not going to sit through a long PowerPoint presentation. We don't have a long event for you really at all. It's just 45 minutes. This is a virtual community powered by students, by parents, educators, and of course, your questions. Tonight, we have a panel of experts who are ready to answer your questions all about the different types of jobs in the gaming industry. And like I said, we only have 45 minutes tonight, so I think we should go ahead and jump right in. Let's meet our guests for today. Awesome. Welcome. I'm going to ask each of you to introduce yourselves and just give us three things. What's your name? What do you do and where you work? And what brings you to this conversation all about gaming? And Erin, I'm going to start with you.
All right. Thank you so much, Greg. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for deciding to spend the next 45 minutes with us. I'm Erin Goldsmith, and I'm a senior talent marketing specialist at Blizzard Entertainment. And what that means is that I do social media with the intention of helping people see what it's like to work at Blizzard. The reason I'm here tonight is because I was someone who I certainly wished I had a bit more direction in my life when I was in high school and applying for schools and trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. So I love to give back and hopefully provide some of my learnings back to you.
Awesome. That sounds great, Erin. Sounds like you're here for the right reasons and you're perfect fit for the event. Roy, I'll pass it to you.
Sure. I'm Roy Contreras. I'm the CEO of Working Man Interactive. We're an interactive experiences and gaming studio. So we work with clients such as Disney, Nickelodeon, Marvel, WWE, Amazon, Google, a whole bunch of different Fortune 500 companies. So if you ever played any kids games, you probably played, one of our games that, Working Man Interactive made. And the reason that, I'm here is because just like Erin, I like to, give back, right? Anybody that has any questions when it comes to working in games, that's definitely like something along the lines that I'm more than happy to help and pay it forward.
Awesome, Roy. I appreciate you paying it forward tonight. And we have a lot of students and caring adults who are looking forward to hearing some of your responses. And last but not least, Em.
Hi, everyone. My name is M. Stock, and I've been in the gaming industry since 1991. What? I am currently the head of community at Together Labs, which has a product called MView. It's an online metaverse and social networking site with about 6 million users. Community relations, we're the communicators and information gatherers for any video game company we work for. So if there's information that you need to know when you're playing your favorite game, we're the people who pretty much give it to you through message boards, social media, blogs, etc. And I'm here today because I want to spread as much awareness as possible about community relations, which is a discipline I love, and I want to bring as many people into it as possible.
That's great, Erin. Well, you came to the right place because we have a ton of students and a ton of caring adults out there who want to be part of this community too. So thank you, and thank you all for being here. Just hearing about where you work, what you do, I know you have a ton of advice to share. So now tonight, Big Future Live is all about getting your questions answered. But before we get to all of your questions, which I'm looking right now, there are a ton that are coming in. Keep them coming. Before we get to those questions, we want to hear a little bit from you today. What are you most interested in learning about today? You're going to see a quick poll pop up on your screen. Tell us, do you want to know about the types of jobs in the gaming industry? Are you looking to learn more about the education needed to pursue those careers? Do you want to know what the day-to-day is like for Erin, Roy, and M? Or are you really looking to learn what you can do now to prepare for that career in gaming? Take a few minutes, think about it, and decide what are you most interested in learning about today. While you're doing that, let's talk about what tonight is going to look like. How is this going to work? If you see on your screen, there is an Ask a Question box on the bottom of your screen under this video bridge where you can type in your question. It's about right here. Big Future Live is where you get your questions answered. So please don't be shy. Submit those questions, submit as many as you have. Just to let everyone know, we have a team of Big Future folks in the background who are monitoring all of those questions. They're going to try to get to as many as possible. So we have folks on the background who are tending to those questions and monitoring them. So don't be shy. Also, if you miss anything tonight or have to walk away from your computer or from your tablet for a moment, don't worry. Recording is going to be available a little later on at bigfuture.org/live, and we'll also send you an email directing you to that recording as well. So we're starting to see some of these responses come in. Let's see what you all think. This is it's pretty even keel. Right now, about 33% of you want to know about majors and education needed for a career in gaming. Another about 32% of you are looking at what you can do now to prepare for a career. And then around 26% are looking for the types of jobs in the gaming industry. So it's pretty even. I would say everyone wants to know a little bit of everything here, which is great because we have a perfect panel of experts who are ready to dive in. So Erin, Roy, M, what do you think? We ready to dive in here?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do it. All right, our first question is going to be for you, M. Dorian wants to know, what are the jobs in the gaming industry? What a great question, Dorian. What a great question to kick us off. M, what do you think?
Yeah, there are so many. So it really depends on your area of interest, right? A lot of people start off in the gaming industry in what is considered an introductory role in QA, which is quality assurance. And those are the individuals who are constantly playing the game, looking for bugs, trying to break it so that they can help tell the development team what needs to be done to fix those bugs. So a lot of people I know have started off through QA. A lot also start in through customer support, which are, of course, the people who help individuals who are playing when they have a problem with their account, when they are stuck in the game, anything like that. So those are a lot of the introductory roles into the gaming industry. But then, past those introductory roles, people get into game design and they design your favorite games. They do community relations, which is what I do, which are the people that the organization puts out in front of the players to talk to them, to help them bond and build relationships with each other, to communicate and give them any information they need to know. And it goes from there to producers who work with all the departments to get the video game created, and engineers who actually do all the coding to make your favorite games. So it runs the gambit. There are many, many different options, just depending on your area of interest.
That's great. I think you gave already the group a lot to think about. Quality assurance, customer support, community relations, producers, engineers. You listed a lot of different options. What if you're a student out there who wants to do multiple jobs in the gaming industry? What would you say to them?
Are you still talking to me?
Yeah, we're still talking to you, Em.
So actually, it's so interesting you should ask that, because how I mentioned those introductory roles with customer support and QA, they're actually a great way to start, because you learn so much. You have to work with so many of the other departments in order to get your job done, that in doing that specific job, you learn about everything. And it helps guide what you find that your interest is going to be to where you eventually want to go. So actually starting in one of those introductory roles, it's a wonderful, wonderful education and can really help you decide where you want to go with it.
That's great advice, Em. And thanks, Dorian, for that question to kick us off. We're getting a lot of questions from folks here. Catherine asks, can someone make a sustainable living from gaming? Riley says, what is the average amount of money people make in the gaming industry? Overall, will folks profit from working in the gaming industry? Roy, what do you say to that?
I say it depends, right? And, that's not the cop-out answer. It depends on, what path you choose. Speaking from my personal experience, my brother, he was an engineer, right? So he wanted to make sure as soon as he graduated from college, he started making money. Me, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I know I liked playing video games. I was addicted at the time to, World of Warcraft. I would just raid every single night. I started with playing Nintendo, Super Nintendo, all the different generations. And I knew I liked watching TV and watching movies. There weren't gaming degrees, back in my day. And, fortunately, there was an game PA position open at Nickelodeon, and the starting salary for that was $30,000. This was back in 2005, right? Even in 2005, it was still hard to make ends meet, with that salary. But slowly but surely, I grew up. I went up the rung, and then before you knew it, in about 5 years, 6 years or so, I was making, six figures. And then after that, there's some escalators. By the way, my experience has been with Nickelodeon and Amazon. So there, not only do you get paid a salary, but at the same time, you get paid bonuses. Even you get some stock options thrown in there as well. So you can see how lucrative, companies like Amazon and Google, they throw in RSUs, which are restricted stock units, which can really, boost your overall earnings when it comes to your compensation. So you can definitely make a sustainable living when it comes to, the games industry. A book that I recommend, and this is coming from a gamer, right? I don't recommend books, right? Honestly, I think the first book I ever read from cover to end was in college, because all I did was just game. But, I've been reading a book called Press Reset. That book in particular is a good read if you're interested in getting as far as thinking about what type of compensation, you can make. So you can definitely make a sustainable living. And look, if you own a successful studio, you can make money in the millions, especially if you have a smash hit. So, overall depends, on your role. But, the games industry, I believe the stat that goes around is, more profitable than the TV, movie, and all a whole bunch of different industries, entertainment industries combined. So, it's there for a reason.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Roy. And Press Reset was the book, right?
Correct.
Write that one down, folks out there, if you're looking for a book recommendation. One more follow-up for you, Roy. And this question is from Felipe. Felipe also asked, will I profit from this? And the follow-on from that is, can I start profiting when I'm not yet an adult?
Interesting question. So by adult, I think the definition is below 18 years, of age. And I would say absolutely, right? I think one of the best routes to go, and I wish it was available during my time, is become a video game influencer, right? You go to YouTube or Twitch and a whole bunch of, different platforms. You work on your brand, you put content out there, you play games, and you can be super profitable. There's also, I'll tell you a quick story of one time at Nickelodeon, we were looking to make games on Roblox. This was when Roblox first came out. And, I went to the Roblox Developers Conference, probably like the first or the second annual one. And I wanted to meet developers that could make, Roblox games based upon our IP. So we're going to license our IP, such as SpongeBob or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and have these developers make them. So, I had the biz dev person introduce me to the developers, at the time. And she walks me into this room, and I'm, expecting to talk to the usual brand of developers, and the room is filled with a whole bunch of 13-year-olds. That's probably the oldest developer was 13 at the time. She's like, yeah, these are all the people that, make the most profitable games on Roblox. And I'm like, wait, these are the people that are making millions of dollars, on Roblox. This is where all these kids are spending Robux on, like these 13, 12, and 11-year-olds. She said, yep. And I'm like, man, I chose the wrong career. But definitely, you don't need to be an adult, to make, money in the gaming industry. That's, at least the Roblox is one of the examples from firsthand experience that I saw.
That's great, Roy. And what an awesome story there. Aaron, this next one is for you. Gian asks, what is the expected job demand in the gaming industry? What do you think, Aaron?
Yeah, that's a really great question. To the first question we asked about the types of jobs that are in the gaming industry, something to consider is if you think of like a tech company like Google, those jobs, probably any job that you can think of that exists at Google will probably also exist in the gaming industry. If there are jobs at a general entertainment company like Universal or Warner Brothers, in general, there's probably also an equivalent in the gaming industry. So it's not just development jobs and things that specifically go into making games. So there's a lot of opportunity there. Right now, in this exact specific moment in October of 2023, the games market is a little bit tough. I'm not going to lie to you guys. It is a bit of a tough market right now. But something that you can do to kind of check out what the demand is for specific jobs is go to your favorite games career sites. Even if you're nowhere near looking at internships or applying right now, look on their career site. See what they're actually hiring for. What jobs are they actually looking at? What skills are they looking for? If you look at those job description cheat sheets, you can use that as a guide for what you need to pursue to do. You can also say, wow, there's a lot of visual effects positions that are open. Maybe this is the job that doesn't get filled that often, whereas something compared, and I'm not saying you shouldn't pursue this, versus something like, for example, like character art, which is something that's a lot more popular, it's going to be a bit more competitive. So maybe you can use that as a way to kind of decide, hey, I really want to be in this industry. Where is there the most demand? So using those career sites as a cheat sheet will help you quite a bit.
That's great, Aaron. And
if I could add to that, Greg, if you don't mind. As far as demand, one of the things that I'm seeing a lot of, and this might change in a couple of years, but I don't believe so. I think it's only going to grow even more, is AI, artificial intelligence. And I think it's only going to get bigger in games. So if you're interested, if you want to be a person that, sticks out and have that on your resume and have that as an area of expertise, I think this goes with anything, not just games. Definitely start to study AI and artificial intelligence. I'm even attending MIT, at the moment, and of course, taking a course in AI because, it's the future, right? You've seen how ChatGPT, has blown up, and it's only a matter of time until, AI and different algorithms only. I mean, AI obviously has been around for such a long time in games, but it's only gonna, grow and enhance in the space.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Roy, and thanks so much, Aaron. And I think both of you kind of touched on a question that Afra had, which was how competitive is the gaming industry? as well. Em, I'm going to move on to you. Mike has a question here. What were some of your favorite games growing up, and did you expect pursuing a career from it? That's a great question, Mike.
So you may have noticed I'm a little bit older than the the other people that are here. I always loved games growing up, but as opposed to most of you who are used to having console gaming in front of your TV set, I was at the arcade with the coin ops. So I was one of the few girls that I knew who were really into gaming. And so I was all over the arcade machines. God, I'm so dating myself right now. But, I grew up in the times of the Atari 5200. And my first games that I ever worked on when I was started off as a writer game designer was on the Sega Genesis. So, those much older console games are the ones that I grew up with. As far as some of my favorite games as I've gotten older, I really took to the Civ games, Civilization games on the PC. Those are some of my favorites. But, if you are looking to get into the gaming industry, it's really in your best interest to play everything. And I'm talking console games to online PC MMOs, massively multiplayer online games, to mobile, right? So it's really good to have experience playing games on all of those different platforms so that you can really speak to it as you're pursuing this career and interviewing at different places, because there's nothing gaming companies love more when you're interviewing with them than a really good knowledge of the games that they've put out there and the platforms that they're on.
That's awesome. Thanks for that insight, Em. So Gabriel is out in the audience there, and Gabriel asks, they want to know a quick summary of how you got to where you are and your career path. So we're going to do a lightning round. Each of you, please tell us, Twitter version, what was your career path? What did that look like? Erin, we'll start with you.
Oh boy. Okay. So I'm going to go a little bit into the last question because that actually works into my spiel. So
Great,
I've had the wildest career path, probably like top 10 wildest career paths that exist. So the thing is, I've always loved video games, always. They've always been a part of my life. I remember being very, very little, and I would sit on my dad's lap while he was playing the original Warcraft games, and I would watch him play. And it stuck with me. In fact, the first game that I ever bought for myself was Diablo 3 in middle school, and I had to save up my allowance for weeks to be able to buy it. I never thought I could work in games because I've always been an artist, but I have a disability, so that makes my technical skills not as refined. So I always knew there wasn't necessarily, I didn't think there was really space for me. So because of that, I've always been a creative. I've always been a designer. I decided to pursue theatrical costume design. And I knew that's what I wanted to go to. That's what I wanted to do. And that's what I went to school for. I started studying it when I was 15. I took extra classes. I got into school. I focused not on my SATs, but on my portfolio for getting into a good college. And I went to New York City to go work off-Broadway. I got off the plane immediately, went to go see an off-Broadway show, looked at the playbill, and emailed every single person in the costume department until someone gave me a job. And then after that, I got my job. I realized, oh my God, this is nothing like I expected it was. I hate this. And from there, I sucked it up for a little bit, and then I worked a few more contracts, a few more off-Broadway shows, and I realized, oh my God, I'm having a crisis. This is not what I want to do with my life. And from there, I was quite literally sitting in the back of a theater. I was crying. I was trying to get something out. I was sewing. I was bleeding. It was really bad. And the director of this theater comes up to me. He's like, hey, you're good at Instagram, right? Do you want to run the theater's Instagram page for an extra $100 a week? And I was like, I'm 20 years old and have no money. I would love nothing more than an extra $100 a week. And so that's kind of what started me working in social media. So I needed to get experience because I needed more jobs. And what I would do is I would go on Groupon and I would find salons that were close to me that needed help on social media. And I'd be like, hey, I'm broke. I'll trade you a haircut. And I will give you a strategy deck on what you should do with your social media. So that's how I started kind of building clients and building up my portfolio. As I was still kind of deciding, hey, do I still want to stick with theater or go full marketing? I graduated in 2020, so that completely severed my ability to do any kind of theater. So it was like, okay, this is the divine choice that I need to go into marketing. I'm just going to go straight to marketing. My first job out of school, I worked at a fertility company. I don't care about fertility. That's not something I'm particularly passionate about. Again, I've always been an artist, but it was something that paid the bills. I needed to pay my rent, and I certainly learned a lot on that job. I was basically the entire marketing department. I stayed there for a year, and then I started doing marketing for a construction firm. That job taught me incredible work-life balance because I did not care about it at all. I went back to school and I got a professional certification in digital marketing and applied for jobs for 6 months until a recruiter from Blizzard messaged me and said, hey, have you ever thought about working at Blizzard? And then I applied, and that's how I got into gaming.
That's a great story, Erin, and great to learn a little bit more insight about your non-linear path into the industry. Roy, what about you? Just in a couple sentences, quick summary of how you got into gaming.
Sure. I interned during which is pretty big, interning, right? During my senior year of college for MTV, for, TRL, for example, when that was like a thing, back in the day. They had actually offered me a job. So right after, I graduated, I would work there. However, the start date conflicted with an appointment that I had to get some x-rays on my shoulder, on my neck. So my neck had been hurting because I was playing too much World of Warcraft, and I thought that there was something wrong with it. So I let them know, hey, can I push this? Can I start actually another day? They were like, sure. And after I got the x-ray, everything turned out to be fine. They said, actually, we offered the job to somebody else. So then I thought I was going to go into a TV production. I didn't. Then I took the summer off because, going to school your entire life. I was just like, let me just take some time off. I saw a job opening for a Nickelodeon Games production assistant. I interviewed for that. I showed the person at the time that was responsible for hiring that we had a website. So I was a guild master in World of Warcraft, one of the most strongest guilds in the entire world. And I showed them like, hey, we have an application process for just applying, to our guild, and showed him, how hardcore of a gamer I was. And he offered me the job right on the spot.
That's great, Roy. And I do remember TRL back in the day, just so you know.
There we go.
I want to get really quickly to your pathway as well. But before you get to that, just because it's timely, Roy, just a follow-up question from Luca in the audience, because you mentioned internships. Luca wants to know, what steps should I take to obtain an internship in marketing at different companies? Or Erin, if you want to answer that too, since you're in marketing as well. Either of you.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to answer this. So I think, honestly, a big thing is not blocking yourself out of other opportunities, especially in marketing, because marketing is very, very easy to transfer skills from. So don't be too preoccupied if you can't immediately get internships or jobs, or you can't get hired into gaming. Really focus on just building that quality experience. So again, if you look at my experience, my first internship that I did was actually at a social media company where I was doing, it was a Facebook page called womenworking.com. And those cheesy quotes that your great aunt shares on Facebook, and it's like quotes about shopping. That's what it was. And we did like 40 posts a day. And I think a really good way to look at these internships and start thinking about marketing is if there's a specific place that you want to go, start looking early, like now-ish, and seeing even if they have marketing internships open, seeing if that's something that they actually hire for, because some companies don't. So take a look at some of those requisitions. It doesn't even have to be in the gaming industry. Maybe it's at Pixar or DreamWorks or somewhere else. A lot of that is very transferable. Again, I work in marketing, and almost no people came from gaming before this job directly, or they've had lots of other different experience. It's something that can transfer quite easily. I think also really trying to set yourself apart, trying to build up a really good quality body of work. It doesn't have to actually be examples of like, hey, this is what I hypothetically would make a campaign for if this is something this would look for. Like, here's how I would make a campaign for Overwatch or Rocket League or Minecraft. I can't think of a single video game name right now, I guess. And really think about how you would do that. And even if it's just mocking it up in Canva and writing up in a document and making a slide deck, that will show that you really care and this is something that you are really interested in.
And just to add to that, Greg, just two takeaways here. One, meet the deadlines, right? So if the summer internship program is that all applications are due like for a certain company by May 30th, make sure you meet the deadlines. And two, this course should be required by all colleges. Anytime I speak to universities, I let them know just this. Learn to interview, right? Don't make the certain mistakes. I've interviewed thousands of folks, and some folks have showed up just in a plain white tee. Some folks, when I ask them a question, tell me about yourself. They're like, well, I was born in 1995, and start all the way there. Please practice interviewing, take a course, make sure, practice with your friends, practice in the mirror, practice interviewing. So definitely meet all the deadlines and work on the interviewing skills.
One last thing I want to point out, most big company internships, they close their applications in January of the year that they are. So start looking around October, November for in the year prior for those internships. I had to learn that the hard way.
Great advice. Great advice. Practice those interview tips, meet the deadlines. And if you're interested in internships, look, well, right now, right? Em, I do want to hear more about your pathway. Let us know, how did you get to where you are?
Yeah, really quick. My pathway was pretty linear, truly blessed. Graduated with a degree, an English degree from college, waited to figure out where my career was going to go. So I signed up with an employment agency to become a receptionist because I had work to do that. And instead of being called with receptionist work, I'd asked them previously if they ever get anything for writers, and they kind of laughed at me and went, no. So I said, okay, I'll become a receptionist until I get my first big break. Lo and behold, 2 weeks later, they called me up and said, Em, you're never going to believe it, but a small video game development house in the nearby city has all the creative minds to come up with the video games, but they have no one to do their documentation. Are you interested? I said, are you crazy? Of course I'm interested. Started using that English degree, that writing degree right away, started doing all their documentation, started learning their game building tool, designing levels, did that for 5 years till I got a call from Sega who said, we know you're a game designer, but we love your background. We need someone to be our the liaison between us and our 300,000 user peer-to-peer gaming service called Heat.net. And I said, oh, I'm a game designer. They said, come talk to us. Just hear us out. They told me what they wanted me to do. It is what is now known today as community relations. Realized, oh my God, this is the embodiment of who I am as a person in the real world. It's just an online version. Jumped headfirst into community relations, did it hands-on for 10 years, jumped into management, have been recognizing, identifying community talent ever since, and building really good, strong community relations teams for top companies like EA, Sega, NCSoft, and others.
That's awesome. Excuse me. That's great, Em. And it's great to hear that you can go from an English major and that can translate into the gaming industry, right? There's so many types of roles that are out there, and hopefully their students are on the other end. They're learning all the different functions, really. I'm going to shift gears a little bit and talk a little bit more about education. What do we need to learn in order to get jobs in the gaming industry? Amber asked, do I need to go to an expensive school to work in the gaming industry? Trinity also asks, do I need to go to university to be successful in the gaming industry? So Roy, what do you say to that? What would you say around like education and getting into gaming?
Yeah, I would say you don't need to go to an expensive. Again, I've interviewed thousands of folks. I would say, though, that if you do go to like an Ivy League school, you're probably going to catch the recruiter's eyes, because before applications make it to, myself, like there's a recruiter screening everything. There's also, I believe, the program is called ATC that has certain keywords that will surface your resumes up. And if you have like, Stanford, Harvard, MIT, like, et cetera, it will go up there. I would say that two of the big schools that we recruited from back at Paramount a lot from were RIT and also NYU, just because they had game programs. So we couldn't, there just wasn't enough talent for us. We just, every time we needed an intern, I would just, ask them like, hey, is there anybody interested in interning with us? And they were already like spoken for. Even to this day at Working Man Interactive, that's still the case. And when it comes to degrees, it turned out, like, from my experience, I had a degree in communications. And it turns out that a lot of my bosses, they had law degrees, which was interesting. And a lot of folks that actually made the most money, they actually had MBAs. So that's another interesting part. But obviously, it depends, right? Like, if you want to go into marketing, you get a marketing degree. If you want to go into programming, et cetera, you do that. But again, I would say if I'm starting over again, I would go into artificial intelligence and AI, get into a games program and try to do both, because I believe, that's the future. So as far as the degree goes, it depends what you want to go into. Go into one of those game programs. And again, I'm going to keep beating that AI horse.
I would also love to add to this one. I think a really important thing is what I've seen when I talk to recruiters, because I work very, very closely with a lot of different recruiters. The first people that see these at a big studio is what's really matters is, and I'm speaking for US students specifically, is a good body of work. For some people that might require going to an expensive university or going through a specific program, but making sure that you have a good portfolio or a good website or a good resume, whatever you need to get you there is what's important. Having a series of quality pieces, whether that's in marketing, effects, coding, anything, whatever that means for you, is what's truly important. I personally needed to go to a 4-year university because I like structure and I needed that learning. So it's just whatever works for you. I do have to say, though, for international students, it will make your life a million times easier if you want to work in the United States to go to an accredited 4-year university.
That's great, Aaron, and thank you and Roy for hitting on those. We're talking a lot about education and how to find jobs in the gaming industry. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention some of the resources that we actually have on Big Future as well. If you go to our video game industry careers page, you're going to see different resources, mainly videos and articles to help you make those decisions. For example, we have a video about 5 jobs for people who love gaming, another video about should I become an animator, and you can also see a list of 7 of the fastest growing jobs in the gaming industry. If you want to access this page, you'll see a link in the resources section on your screen if you scroll down. Also, if you're out there and wondering, wow, there are a lot of jobs out there that they've mentioned, how do I know if that one's the right one for me? You can also take our career quiz. So this quiz is really short. It takes less than 10 minutes to complete. And once you complete it, you'll get a list of 30 potential careers that you can explore. In these profiles, we have, again, things that we've talked about tonight, like the income you can expect, the projected job growth, the tasks and skills that are associated with some of these jobs. So you can see on my screen here, this is the quiz that I took and some of the jobs that I got matched with. But head over to Big Future, head over to Career Search, and you can see, again, some of these jobs and learn a little bit more about them and see if they're going to be right for you. Let's get back to a few more questions here. I can't believe how quickly time is going here, but our next question is from Gabriel. And Gabriel wants to know, how does designing a game differ from the standard coding experience? What do you think?
This is not, I've done some game design, but it was back in the beginning of my career, and it was on like the console of the Sega Genesis. and such. So I am not as learned about this right now in my stage of my career. I'm wondering, Roy or Aaron, do you have any advice as far as design goes? Go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah, I can take this. Basically, with game design, you're creating the levels, you're creating the world that the game is. Like if you're thinking of World of Warcraft, that's Azeroth. You're creating the different areas, you're creating the different landscapes, the different things that are there. That could be dungeons. If you're thinking of a 2D platformer, maybe it's the Mario level that you're thinking of. You're thinking about how that character interacts with the space. Whereas with the coding, that's the behind the scenes. That's the look behind the curtain, so to speak. So that's just making sure that what the player is inputting is practically translating and coming to life as the player intends it to be. So that's much less, so it's level design is more of, as the name implies, a design, whereas coding is more engineering and behind the scenes.
Yeah, so design is more creative. It's the dreaming up of how the experience is going to work, what the goals are, what the mechanics are, and then the coding is what the engineers do. They're the ones who make that come to life.
That's awesome. Awesome. Thank you both for tag teaming that one. We only have a few minutes left. And we've talked about a lot of things here. We've talked about education. We've talked about the different pathways. You talked about your own personal pathways into the gaming industry, how to get started, how to intern, how much I can expect to make. We've talked about a lot. I want to ask you all one last question. What is your biggest piece of advice for students who are interested in a job in the gaming industry? So if there's a student on this call and you want them to leave with one takeaway, what do you think that would be? Roy, I'm going to start with you.
First, play games, right? You got to be able to speak that language. So, if I'm talking to you about, I'm dating myself, but like, Siphon Filter or Twisted Metal, you got to be able to speak, that person's language. And then lastly, connect with folks, right? Connections. Make sure that you network, with folks. For example, if I was interested in working with Blizzard, you better believe I'm going to be like, hey, Aaron, you remember me, from the panel that we were, can you forward along my resume and stuff? Of course, I'll be like, hey, Aaron, how's it going? How everything's going well? What are you doing for Thanksgiving? What are you dressing up for Halloween? By the way, here's my resume. But definitely make sure to network and connect with folks and start building your network, right now, right? So those are the two pieces of advice I would give. Make sure that play games like standard and network with folks.
Play games and network. Great advice, Roy. What about you, Em?
Yeah, so I agree with all of that. I say educate yourself. If there's an area of interest you have in the gaming industry, there's plenty. I mean, video games have been around a long time. They're going to continue to be around a long time. There's plenty of resources out there. There's plenty of books to read. Figure out where your interest is. If you decide it's art, start playing around with different, applications out there. If it's programming, learn to program in the latest languages. Do as much as you can on your own, so that when you go to someone or you go to an interview for a job, you can say, look, I know this. I'm already teaching myself. It speaks worlds to hiring managers that you've taken the initiative. I look for people who have taken the initiative to learn and do part of the job before they've even gotten the job. It shows me that they know where they want to go and they know what they want to do. And then don't give up. Keep pursuing it. If it's what is in your heart and it's what you want to do for a living for the, your foreseeable future, keep at it and don't give up. Don't let rejection get you down.
Follow your passion, right, Em? Awesome.
100%.
Aaron, close us out.
All right. So this is beyond people who are just looking for careers in gaming. I think it's just any student who's trying to figure out what they're trying to do in life in general. I think it's a really big thing, and I think it's amazing to pursue your passions or when you're thinking about it, like thinking about what it is you want to do for work. But when you're thinking about what you want to do with your life, try to kind of do and think about what you want your life outside of work to look like. Do you want to have a lot of time off? Do you want to have enough money to have a really big family? Do you want to be able to travel? Do you want flexibility? Do you want something that's really, really stable? And then once you do that, think about what you want to do for work. Like maybe you need to be creative or to entertain, or like maybe you like solving puzzles and coding and you really, really love doing that. Try to cross-reference and look at those career sites again and see what jobs actually exist within that and what can meet those desires for you. And then once you do that, kind of ask yourself, what are you willing to sacrifice? What do you really need to make yourself happy? And really try to think about that. And if you can't find those answers from just looking at the job descriptions, look at the credits in your favorite games and find someone who has that title in the credits. Message them on LinkedIn, tell them about how much you love their work, and be like, hey, I have this question about your career. Maybe I want to know about how much PTO you have, or what your benefits are, or if you feel like you have a great work-life balance. And really kind of try to find out what that career would actually look like for you. That will help you out a lot in the long run.
There's so many nuggets of wisdom that were just said here. Obviously play games, network, educate yourself, take initiative, don't give up, reflect on what you want your life to look like in 10 years. And then finally, I would just add, just follow your passion and don't give up on yourself. Thank you all so much for this very engaging conversation. We're getting a lot of great feedback from our students and our caring adults in the audience. So huge thanks to you. And a huge thanks to our guests for joining us tonight. You could have been anywhere, but you decided to spend your time with us, and we're really grateful. We'd love to hear how today's session went. After this event closes, you'll be automatically redirected to a feedback survey. It takes like 2 minutes to complete. Let us know how we did. We want to make the next event even better. And be sure to join us on Thursday for our second Gaming Week event, Be the Boss in Gaming. You can register for that and view the recording from tonight's event at bigfuture.org/live. Thanks everyone so much, and have a great night.